today, and I'm going to do a review on Friday the 13th, 1980 versus Friday the 13th, 2009. I'm actually watching Friday the 13th Part 2 right now, and I finished off Part 1. So, this is my favorite horror movie franchise of all time. No doubt, it's my number one. I remember when I go with talking about 2009. I remember when the advertisements came out with the trailer and stuff. I thought this was a real cool movie. Opening night, the theater was packed. The line was out the door for getting tickets. Go in there, walk in there. I knew it was directed by Marcus Snipple, who directed the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake. It had Daniel Panabaker in there, Jared Padalecki from Supernatural. Um, you had, I believe, Willa Ford. It was in there. Willa Ford was in there. There, of course, Derek Mears is Jason. Um, After I did see it, I was not too enthused about it. I rented it on DVD, rented it on Blu-ray. Still wasn't, still wasn't too enthused. Thought I'd give it another try. Give it another try. Um, this is what happens when you combine or do a remake to something this die hard, and then you combine the first four films. I'm not trying to bash anybody who likes the 2009 remake, but there's no way you can compete against the first four Friday the 13th films, the original ones, with this. I mean, there's just no way. Um, the only cast member that was really likable to me, in my opinion, actually, there's two that were really likable, in my opinion, were Amanda Righetti's character Whitney, and then Daniel Panabaker's character, which I can't remember off the top of my head because I haven't seen it in a while. Those are like the only two characters I really like. Jared Padalecki's character was so-so, but the music for it was just terrible. I mean, it was done by Platinum Duns. It had really no Friday the 13th traditional music like the Harold Manfredini score, which was terrible. Um, it had nothing to do with camp counselors, except for at the beginning of the film, which it shows the survivor, which they don't announce. The survivor, you think it's Alice. Uh, the actress that played Mrs. Voorhees, I thought the character was a little bit too young. I think they would have, if they would have done it the right way, they should have gotten Paula Shaw, who played Pamela Voorhees in Freddy vs. Jason. She would have been a great villain because she kind of resembled Betsy Palmer a little bit in certain aspects. The only thing I really liked about that, besides Amanda Righetti and Daniel Panabaker, was Derek Mears' performance as Jason. There was nothing wrong with his performance at all. The other problem I did have was that Marcus Snipple brought in, I believe, two of the cast members from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake, which I felt a little bit like Texas Chainsaw Massacre put together in there a little bit, because you had two of the cast members from the remake in there, which I thought was a wrong idea. That what he had did, but I mean, he did what he did with the film. He did a different take on it. Um, it just it's one of those things you got to think about. You got to think about. You cannot beat the original first four films. Try to do a remake or a collage of all four in one. I mean, there's no way. That's why people do a lot of connotations and stuff, and a lot of fans do not want a Back to the Future remake. One, I'm not going to see it. You can't replace Christopher Lloyd, Leah Thompson, Michael J. Fox, or Thomas F. Wilson. I mean, you can't replace them. So it's just what it is. Now, with the original, I saw that when I was a kid, not in theater, but I remember watching VHS tapes of it, sitting in the living room with family on a weekend watching them. Just loved them. Loved the heck out of the Friday the 13th films. Like I said, the first 5 are my favorite, along, the majority of them. But I mean, if you guys saw that new video that I did, my top 5 favorite Friday 13 films, there was one change up, and Jason X was at my number 5, and part 5 is at my number 6. So, in case you wanted to know where part 5 went to. But the thing is, the tone, the setting, the music that Harry Mann produced with these Friday 13 films was just amazing. Um, I grew up with a family full of campers. My grandparents were campers at a sportsman's club. I actually got to meet Adrienne King at Days of the Dead in Chicago a couple of years ago, and I was telling her a couple things about. I grew up in a family full of campers and stuff, and I just loved, the scenery in the first couple of films, particularly the first one, two, three, four is another good one. The acting, a lot of these actors were one-time actors, but I mean, just to watch these films, it's amazing. Uh, this is why I like the original stuff. This is why I like the original Friday the 13th. Of course, you had a young Kevin Bacon. He became a huge star. Then, of course, Betsy Palmer, in her own right, she had retired from acting, and she had acted back in the 50s. Believe I believe she started out like in the 50s, and she acted in the 60s and stuff like that. She was on that one game show way back in the day in her younger years. Just very, very interesting stuff. I mean, you can't go wrong. The camp setting, I just love it. There's just something about the original film, along with the first 4 films, that I like. It's out in the woods, cabins, out at the ranch house in part 3, Higgins Haven, the Jarvis house, and the house where the kids are at in part 4. Everything is amazing, man. That's why a lot of this stuff's all marketed. I got the NECA figures, which I got almost all the NECA figures in the Friday 13th franchise. You have the unfinished game that Gun Media did. Still, it's fun to play. I like playing online, playing as a survivor and stuff. You get all this great stuff. You get T-shirts, posters. They had a couple posters. I met half of the cast of Part 2. Just really amazing. I mean, you cannot beat the original stuff, guys, sometimes. For this instance, like, with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake, I like that more than the original. It's just, I think it was done better to me. It was the original was back in '74, but still. But for this case, Friday the 13th, it's always going to be the original stuff for me. The remake, the only thing good about it was Amanda Righetti's performance, Daniel Panabaker's performance, and Derek Mears, and that's it. So yeah, to sum it all up, Friday 13, 2009, not one of my favorites. Don't really like it. Don't revisit it at all. Friday 13, 1980, love it. Seen it numerous times. It never gets old, and I really, really enjoy it. The music, to the setting, everything. So, 1980, Friday 13th is my number 1. Take care.